I'll bet you've never seen Elden Ring beaten using only a shield. In fact, I'm so confident, I'll bet you 14 gabagools, but you only have to give me 5 no matter who wins the bet. If you so happen to have seen Elden Ring beaten using only a shield already, well then I'm going to need you to write me a 5-page essay gaslighting yourself into believing you didn't actually see it. So now I've got to make my character look like a shield in the character creation in order to fully embrace the power of shields. There's a ton of shields in Elden Ring, from circular to more circular. There's also a ton of Ash of Wars made specifically for shields to use, but those sound like another video, so I'm using only one. I'm only going to be using the one because I'm incapable of making decisions for myself, so I rely on what I know best. What I know best is the spiked paraglide shield. It's rectangular, it's spiky, and that's all you really need to know. The shield is located under a giant rock golem in a crevice hidden away from the world, and he's lucky he's made of rock because the shield is spiked and he's just sitting right on top of it, so that could have ended really badly for him. To get there, we have to dive deep into the bosom of the Aquafina well and ride our horse past some straight nasty bitches. Once we finally escape from the well, we can enjoy the view from within this valley and then get suicide bombed by the local terrorists. Once we get past the terrorist organization, we can completely ignore the giant and still it right from underneath him without him noticing. Once we still it, we kill ourselves. No reason or justification needed. The Ash of War is also quite a ways out, so we have yet another long journey to go on. We need to get both Dick medals in order to ride an elevator into the Atlas Placebo lands. Once here, we go to the Lux ruins and run this poor innocent beetle's pockets for the Ash of War. Normally, I would only use the Ash of War of attack for the run, but the run footage was pulled from 1945, so times were different back then. We've obtained everything we need now, so we can go ram Margit with our shield. Now, Margit's a stupid son of a bitch. He goes down like my attention span if I don't have 5 different forms of media at all times playing. We basically just press a button and walk next to him in order to absolutely rustle his jimmies. The bleed mixed with the shield crash is cooler than stealing food stamps from poor people and reselling them to others in need. After Margit, I decided that instead of making the game harder, I should just see how much I can break the game with the shield. So I went to Red Wolf, kicked his ass, edited the fight, and then deleted it because I was off the Wizwaz. I got the whetstone for frost enchants basically for my shield because I'm a cold ass honky. Then I went back to Godric and slammed his ass. And then I fought him. I turned him into a crock with foam filled to the brim since there were so many holes after I was done with him. There's not much to the fight other than giving him the old pumpkin push. Once again, I showcased my failure to comprehend any sort of enemy attacks and just rammed him until he died. At this point, the run is already ridiculous looking, I know, but it gets better, trust me. So we move into Renal's castle because we just got married and I'm so excited. We trick her and turn her into mincemeat pie extra sexual style, then immediately divorce her ass so I can have half her assets. Easy money, baby. After all I've seen, I've decided to go full in on making the shield the best weapon in the game. So I decided to go get Lord of Com's examination table talisman in Lindell Catacombs from Edgar, Prince of the Bloods. However, I'm a crip, so I have to go into the Ninja Turtle sewers, fend off rats, fend off people, fend off rats in people outfits, and people in rat outfits, so basically New York, then look up a map and guide for the pipe maze due to having severe brain rot that can only be cured by getting hydro-pumped by a lobster in a sewer. Makes sense to me. Finally end up at the catacombs, find Edgar, and put the whoop on him. Examination Talisman gives 20% damage after blood loss, which happens all the time with the shield. Also, I get the jump talisman because sometimes I jump in the air, but because I lost my Jordans and my NBA sponsorship, I'm more of a boots on the ground kind of guy. We finally get to Radahn. We jump into his arrow like it's the bulk food section tub of food, and they just filled it up with a ton of oats, and I just can't resist jumping in the oats. Then I proceed to hit him with the combo, the strongest combo of putting the shield in front of me and running. He hates that shit and says, "Lord have mercy on my soul." I keep putting the smackdown raw, not Here Comes the Pain on him. He tries to dropship me anti-grav boots, but leaves before getting my payment options. He comes back with his credit card scanner, so I beat the shit out of him. I basically just sit underneath him the whole fight and use his body to block me from running past him. Then I leave his health as low as it possibly can go, just to see if I'll choke the fight. I almost end up choking the fight, but then I finish it. I realize Godfrey is yellow, which means ice and bleed won't work, and that's the only reason why. I need to get a new damage type in order to fully maximize my opportunity to exercise this ghost. So I go get the lightning wet blade thingy for lightning damage. Since it's so close by, I can easily get it by stealing from this manor, and since basically everyone's already dead, like a 90-year-old Walmart greeter, nothing can really stop me. I finally get the wet blade, get lightning, and then I go fight Godfrey. I used mostly jump attacks because he kicked my ass when I tried to shield crash. Since I'm an idiot, I never equipped any other talismans, so I still have my blood loss talisman even though he's a ghost, so he doesn't actually bleed. I'm such a silly Steven for this. You'll notice in the fight, I get sent to Slamtown Population 2, me and your very nice and lovely mother, and I make the fight look harder than it actually is. During shield crash, you also get hyper armor, and you get the defense bonus as if you were blocking with the shield, meaning I can just spam the Ash of War without getting interrupted and not lose much health. Basically, I act like I'm Play-Doh and I smash myself into his thighs over and over again, and since he's a child, he ends up just eating me, and because he's allergic to Play-Doh, he bursts into hives and dies from the lack of medical treatment options available in his place of residence. I go back to the Frost Enchant because Morgott has never experienced snow in his life, so he's extra susceptible to it. The biggest problem with this fight was the fact that if he hit me when my hyper armor wasn't active, it usually meant I died, because he would turn into a dreidel and spin my ass like a washing machine, and for some reason during the second phase, he became a paraplegic and could hardly move, so we made sure to exploit his disability like any normal person would do. Before Fire Giant, I did a little sneaky move. I'm talking government installing cameras into birds to spy on which squirrel you're giving nuts to in the park levels of sneaky. I did the snowfield skip in order to get to Mohg's palace because I refused to go into PvP and get embarrassed over and over again by other players. Also, this was before the quest was changed that allowed you to just beat an NPC in order to get to the access to the well, so that wasn't an option. We go into Mohg's palace in order to kick Vera's ass. Sorry. I mean, Nameless White Mask, and we steal his mask. This will let us do more damage after a target is bled, so it's worth the journey. I also go and pick up the Wing Sword Talisman in order to do more damage on consecutive hits. I could have gotten this a lot earlier, but I was scared of caves before, and now I'm not, so I'll get it now. Finally, we go to Fire Giant and clip his toenails. We drip check the giant, and turns out his wrist is frozen, so he takes more damage. For this fight, I don't want to shield crash him all the time, because even though his foot is the size of your mother, I somehow still go past him when I attack and I miss. I also don't want to get caught in the fires of hell that he summons. Second phase, I just stick to sucking his thighs like a mosquito since they're much juicier and easier to hit, and since he's now Ski Mask the Slump God after his surgery, I can just poke holes into him over and over again. Until his status effects run out and I can instantly apply them again like a smooth creamy ointment. After that though, the last little bits of health take longer than the judging on MasterChef because you know those hungry ass judges take their sweet ass time tasting that cold food. It's not too bad though because he doesn't run away as much as usual, so it's fine. Since we did our little sneaky deaky secret skip, we can crash into Loretta right away. I could also go get the Thorny Crystal Tear for even more damage since I have access to it now, but I was unable to because of the blizzard in this area making me unable to see for 5 years. Loretta's a simple lady. She rides a horse, I jump up with my shield, bring it down to her skull and crush it, and then she just jumps away. Using shield crash during the fight is extremely risky because I only ever get really like 2 hits before she jumps away and casts magic. So most of the fight is jumping on top of her. There's a few times where I can actually shield crash her, but like my chances with women, it's slim. Eventually, however, I arrange another marriage and divorce her faster than she can say where'd my horse go because I have her horse now. Before I go and fight Mohg, I have to do something that I'm not very proud of. I was thinking to myself, how can I make this run even better? What's one more thing that will make the shield shine even more? And I have just the thing. I'm gonna go steal a handicapped person's prosthetic arm from them. The best part of it all is that I'm the one that gave it to her, but now I saw its value and I want it back. The only problem is she won't give it back because she got attached to it and it's sentimental to her and it's helped change her life, so I'm just gonna have to murder her. So I end up ripping off her metal hand and putting it in my pocket for later use. I finally decided to go show the true Lord of Blood how cool my shield is, and let me tell you something, he loved it. He offered me a handshake and unlimited access to whatever's in that cocoon thing behind him, which I must say I can't say no to. Typically, I would play hopscotch potato with him, trying to dodge his fire explosion hand attack, but with shield crash I can kinda just eat it and just keep attacking him. I attack him so much that he delays his counting down, like he just entered preschool and is still learning numbers. Initially I thought I was going to actually be able to beat him before he finished counting, but unfortunately I was tonight's big loser and I got punished. My punishment was being forced to fight him for longer than I wanted to, and as a result my prize in the cocoon behind him ended up getting bored and leaving in the end, so I didn't win anything other than AIDS. Considering more than half the fight was waiting for Mohg to learn how to count down from 3, there's not much to say. I finally went and got the crystal tear thingy that will make my attack stronger the more I hit, which doesn't work in real life, trust me. However, I also never took off Mohg's tears, so like a silly little goose I am, I'm losing out on drinking someone else's tears, and I'm stuck with Mohg's for Godskin Duo. Most of the fight is me running up to the circular one, grabbing his fat and tucking myself inside like a kangaroo pouch. While inside, I do all sorts of tomfoolery until he kicks me out and tries to smash me. The stick figure one is a dickhead and interrupts our special time because he's jealous, so I roll him up into a fine powder and sell him away for some quick pocket change. That's about it, so let me sum up the fight. Step 1, enter Round Man's fat cloak and wear it. Step 2, roll his friend into a fine powder and commit heinous acts of tomfoolery. Step 3, profit and celebrate. Step 4, move on with my life after exploiting them both. Before I fight the dog guy that talks about dynasty death, I've got to settle the score with an old friend. Alexander the Potman has something that I really want. I want his intestines, because of my own personal reasons, so I'm unfortunately going to have to hit him with the nastiest Cha-Cha slide attack in order to obtain them. Especially because he didn't help me during the Radahn fight, and that's totally not because I just didn't summon him, but he was technically at the festival, so he could have helped, but he just didn't, so we won't talk about that. The fight is a nightmare. First name Mally, last name Keith is terrible for shield crash. It's like his hitbox is non-existent. I get right up into his gamer pants and try to hit him, only for the hitbox to disappear. It's like every time I get close to him, he gets liposuction all of a sudden and turns into an anorexic. I don't understand, because I'm trying to help him and he sucks up even more of his body. But seriously, using shield crash on him is just horrible. Using shield crash from the front doesn't work, because it doesn't reach far enough into his body to register a hit. So most of the time I'm getting about 2 to 3 hits on him, instead of the typical 6 or 7, and without status effects this fight would have taken forever. So lucky me, because I'm a status effects spammer, and I'm proud of it. Second phase suffers from a different problem, however. His hitbox isn't an issue anymore. The fact that the longer you hold the Ash of War button, the more little attacks you do before the big cheese. The problem is, I'm terrible at telling how long I should hold the button, so I always hold it too long and he jumps away before I get the last one off. He jumps onto his sword pole, which I must say he is quite talented with, way before I can finish. I eventually resorted to doing jump attacks, which don't do much damage, but at least I'm doing some. So the second phase turns into a slogfest, the new festival in the lands between, and I have no tickets to go. Unfortunate for me, I guess, so I guess I'm stuck just spam jumping his leg whenever he flips around. Eventually, I neuter the dog thing and release Calamity upon the world, which now faces godlike judgment. Hoarah is a little bit strange because his geometrical shape is uneven, therefore making me unable to shield crash him properly. I have no idea what I'm really talking about in reality, and I'm just trying to act like I do. The fight is kind of strange with the shield because he moves towards me when he attacks, and that makes me slide right off his lotion legs every so often, so I do less damage than I would like to most of the time. Since I have a shield though, I can usually just press the spikes into him and stick near him the entire time, giving him a little stabby stab like a jellyfish. Which, fun fact, certain jellyfish can kill you if they sting you, so watch out next time you try and make a Krabby Patty using their jelly, it might not end up well for you. Shirtless Man's second phase is a walk in the park because after I hit him a little, he pulls out a Dark Souls classic and praises the sun. However, during his animation, I disrespect him and his religion and his emote to get him one shot. Then I just slam my shield onto his cranium and he suffers brain damage and passes away before help can arrive.
Oh shit! A cripple!
Big Snake, make fire puddle. Me, stand in puddle. It burn. It hurt. Ouch. Please help. Snake hit by shield. Snake not happy. Snake get mad. Me tell Snake no mad. Snake listen. I laugh. Snake die. For Rykard, we run into the fire puddle again and start slapping up his malnourished, disgusting, newly birthed bird legs. We honestly just keep doing that for the whole fight because he's newly born, so his legs are super weak, until eventually my entire fucking screen turns into World War III and I can't see a thing. There's so much happening that I honestly couldn't even tell you what's going on. Somehow, we survive the rave that just happened and continue to snap his twigs with our shield. Since his hitbox decided to shrink and disappear, I'm stuck on this fight for way longer than I want to be, but since I'm out of FP, my shield crash doesn't protect me from the fire knockback, so I'm stuck looking like an absolute clown for a whole while. Full makeup, clown outfit, invite to the party, the whole shish kebab, you know? But eventually we managed to beat him and stop bathing in the fire because I've already burned away any skin that I would normally need to care for. Oh yeah, Malenia is something alright. Wombo combo to the max, just knocking her ass over. Look at her, she's helpless. She stands no chance. She's on the ground most of the time, so I'm not even sure if she can stand at all. This is a Class A example of just straight bullying at this point. I have to make sure to not hit her too much while she's on the ground, otherwise she pulls out the craziest Olympic flip I've ever seen. I'm telling you, if she entered, she would get gold medals out the wazoo. Easily top 3 Olympians of all times. Second phase changes our strategy quite a bit. Instead of chain stunning her by knocking her over, I have to knock her over and then jump attack in order to maximize my time. If I try to combo her, I get hit with the biggest insult since elementary school when I got called a cheater at Tunnel Tag for camping the people that were tagged, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do to win sometimes, and I'm not ashamed. Most of the fight is waiting for a chance to hit Malenia with Shield Crash, so she'll fall over with crippling back pain. Otherwise, I get caught in the Slurp Juice combo and take a massive amounts of shield damage before I can pot up and recharge. The fight goes on for quite a while, just waiting for the perfect moment to attack, getting impatient, attacking early, and then giving her health back for no reason. And towards the end, I entered super panic mode and dragged out the final hit for way too long. Like way too fucking long. All I needed to do was jump attack her, but I kept trying to shield crash her for no reason. But eventually, this Make-A-Wish patient passed into the afterlife and I collected the fat check that I was owed for lending my time to the hospital to make her wish come true. I decided that I was strong enough to go fight Dragonlord now, because before when I tried, he rocked my shit. Literally, because he has a rock throw attack that he does sometimes. But basically, all I had to do was set up a little camp inside his inner thigh, which made him feel uncomfortable, but it made me cozy. That was about it for the fight. Sitting on his inner thigh and rubbing up all on it was enough to stop him from actually hitting me most of the time until he decides to fly away and ruin my fun. Once he comes back though, we wait until he finishes his tantrum after seeing the outside world and comes right back to me anyways. We keep repeating the thigh technique and he just can't seem to understand the power behind it. And of course, I get hit by the laser beam attack, but because I had a shield, I was prepared for it. Even though I didn't actually try to dodge it, and just kind of accepted my fate that I would get hit by it. Then we end the fight because I've lost interest in his thighs and throw him to the side. We finally move on to the red-haired Twink Lord, and let me tell you, he goes down like a fat kid on a water slide. Getting right in front of his face blocks most of his attacks, and the frost from my shield just eats away at him, giving him hypothermia the entire time. Since he's such a silly little red-haired guy, I'm able to just freeze him to death repeatedly no matter what fancy aerial move he pulls out. And honestly, if he's able to jump that high and stay in the air for that long, he really should just abuse that ability more often. But he tries to fight me on the ground, and that's his second mistake, right behind marrying Queen Marika. Eventually, we freeze him right in his tracks, and a giant space whale from outer space appears out of nowhere. Elden Beast is pretty simple since he's so big. The Shield Crash just annihilates his health bar since it hits him multiple times. And for each hit, adds more damage, so the damage he takes is massive. For the first little bit of the fight, he runs away and makes me chase him, but once he starts to use Elden Stars, the entire fight is basically over at that point, simply because once he does Elden Stars, he gets stunned, mixed in with the fact that my consecutive attack bonuses are basically a max, so the damage we do is just absurd. I'm talking massive, like bigger than Minecraft YouTubers' obsession with miners big. He dies real fast after that, and we finally finish beating Elden Ring with only a shield. So yeah, anyways,